All right, camera's on. I need glare, we need lighting, we need to dim the lights for mood. Okay, pretend we're dimming the lights. We're all in the mood. Relax, sip that single malt scotch. So, we have a video on Schultz-era Fenders. Like, what? Yeah, Schultz-era. This is kind of a growing concern and the whole vintage reissue. Let's face it, Fender in the 70s has kind of lost their way. Fender in the 70s, CBS bought Fender in 65. By 75, it was clear that they didn't care an iota. It was just a product. It wasn't, they had lost the way. So in 1981, sorry for the history lesson, it's what I do. In 1981, Fender went to Yamaha, who was making some great stuff, and they hired the American Bill Schultz out of Yamaha to help lead them out of the woods. So in 1981, you started seeing things coming out like the Elite Strat was something that came out, something they did. Bill hired Dan Smith, and the Smith Strat, the Smith Stratocaster, where they had those big headstocks, Dan Smith simply cut the headstocks down and went, there, now it looks much better. And the whole guitar world cheered from far away. They were like, yay, look at the headstock small again. He also tapered back the body cuts and that they were missing. And the banks at CBS didn't get it. Then, by 1985, Bill Schultz put together a contingency of people that bought Fender. Fender had a warehouse manufacturing facility, and Bill went, you can keep it. We don't want it. Sell the real estate. We are going back to little. And he did. And there's a picture at the Fender factory of Bill Schultz standing up on a table. And it's surrounded by wood chips everywhere. And he's kicking off this wood chips and addressing everybody and saying, let's get our poop together and get this going. And they did. So that era, coming about 1986, 87, the vintage reissues started coming out, and it was a magnificent catalog. And I gotta tell you, I had been working for 10 years selling guitars. That was the most exciting time when they really dialed it back in. Bill Schultz and his team, John McLaren, Dan Smith, Bill Schultz, they made the Elite Strat. They made all this stuff that was like, wow, finally. They made vintage reissues, and they started really selling. So that late 80s is about when that started to come out, and I can remember for a while you couldn't get them. And it was rumored that all the Fenders were coming in from Japan. That was true for a brief period of time. All the original Fenders came out, and some of these reissues from that early 80s, they had kind of sharp edges. This is a 1992 jazz bass, but it's a stack knob jazz bass. And you've got these stack knobs where this is a tone control and this is your volume control. So you have two volumes, two tones. That was true from 60 to 62, and this is a 62 reissue and a duplicate of that, and everybody went, it's about time. This is a really clean example. This, with its two, I'm going through a basement amp and a Bergantino cabinet back there, but having the tone controls, being able to roll back each of these, having the slim taper neck is really cool. Plus, here I'm writing copy on it now, and then, you know, that's what I do, and these guys interpret it for me. But look inside here. We have the original cover. We have some of the original bill of sales here. Look at that. We've got his invoice from when he bought this, and this was bought in January of 93. That makes this January of 94. Let's double check that. No, we don't need to waste the time. Yeah, so this is in 1992. It was bought in January of 93. So that's pretty early on. Here's my point. Of all that stuff I just said, This is a growing concern for people. I remember telling people back 5 years ago, buy 70s Gibsons. Then a 70s black Les Paul Custom was about 35, now it's about 75. Now I'm telling you, buy Schultz-era vintage Fenders. Bill Schultz was there 85 to, I forget when he left. I think it's like '01 or something like that. But I remember writing letters to Bill Schultz, the president of Fender, and he wrote back. I mean, dear Willie, I appreciate your concern for our company. I was an obnoxious kid. Anyway, so here we are. This is a really clean example. No buckle wear. The person that took care of this took really good care of it. You can see some good grain line in the back there. It is a really nice example, and the Olympic white is cool. Hey man, welcome. And then this is a 93 P-bass. Again, 62, 62. This is a 62 era with that nice wide fingerboard, and this one's actually pretty light and has some really nice grain, don't you think? I'm pretty sure it's alder, but it looks like ash, and it's light like alder. That sound, that thing that just gets right in your gut, this is the P-bass sound and the thing that drove so many Motown records. This too has its original bill of sale. This has its strap, its keys to the case. This has the hang tags, its original invoice for when he bought it back in the day. And they really didn't get a lot of the vintage paperwork together. They just did their old hang tags in this era. This is early in the Bill Schultz era. So there you go. This is, let me turn this down. This is a video on Schultz era Fenders, and it's a great concern to a lot of guys right now because they're still affordable. I would argue that the quality on these is better than the current American twos, because all these pickups and all these parts are made in America, and I would argue that there's a good reason to buy these both financially and tone-wise, because they were made by a small group of people that gave a monkey's butt. How's that?